Welcome to week 5. This is the second week in our human resources frame. Last week you submitted your paper on the structural frame and completed the quiz on the structural frame as well. Next week you will also have a quiz on the human resources frame. It'll be exactly the same. It'll be 5 questions and you'll have 2 different opportunities in the week to complete it. And you choose when those opportunities are, each 60 minutes. Okay. For the human resources frame, as we know, our metaphor is family, the connectedness of our members of our organization. The concepts are needs that each member has, the skills, the attitudes, the energy commitments, and the relationships. So notice that needs, skills, attitudes, and energy commitments are things we hire for. Relationships might be why they get hired, but or how they stay hired. So leadership image here is empowerment, empowering the members of the organization. The basic leadership challenge is aligning the organization and its mission and the way that it proceeds with the needs of our members. Here's a thought, and this is by Price Pritchett. There's no question that our so-called quote-unquote rights are changing. Some of them simply don't fit today, in today's new realities. Corporate America is in no position to guarantee our job future. And government can't deliver on everything the politicians promised. So think about that thought. For example, are people looking to stay at a company for their entire working career, get that gold watch? Or are they looking to be mobily moving upward? And what are they doing? What do you do? How do you advance in your career? Are the corporations giving you the same kinds of benefits that your parents had in their corporations? Some yes and some no. For example, now we have an opportunity to have maternity and paternity benefit to bond with our new babies. But that may have not been allowed for our parents. On the other hand, pensions were very common for our parents, and maybe much less so. Now we might have a position where we're expected to manage our own pension, quote unquote, with some kind of retirement fund that we are responsible for. So does this thought fit what seems to be happening in your organization? Think about it. Organizations, from a human resources perspective, this is an assumption. Organizations exist to serve human needs. That's the way that the human resources frame, that's the lens through which we look when we're looking through the human resources frame. People and organizations need each other in a reciprocal way. Organizations need talent, energy, and people need careers, salary, opportunities. When that fit is poor, then one or the other or both suffers. So a good fit benefits both. Individuals find meaningful work and organizations get talent and energy. So think about the following questions, and these, by the way, are the questions that will be in our forum for this week. What are the family values in your organization? What are those things that your organization does for its members? And what would you tell a new employee about how we do things around here in our organization? What we do not do. How we should behave in meetings, for example. Who we should talk to when we have something we want moved forward. Who should we not talk with? Yes, What are the written rules and the unwritten rules that are our family values? Think about that in your organization. There are a lot of different strategies that human resources frame proceeds from. These are just a few. Job security, and that's controversial. Promote from within, so that we are empowering, advancing our own members. But you will know that some administrators would prefer to promote from without, or to hire someone into an advanced position rather than to promote someone who's been here a while. Train and educate is definitely a human resource strategy. That's where we come in, right? That's what we're about in workplace training and leadership, training and educating. And another strategy is to share the wealth, that there are ways in which the organization can share, whether they have stock or not, whether they have an IRA, whatever it might be, the organization should share the wealth. And that again is part of the human resources frame. Providing autonomy and participation to the members so that you feel enriched in your particular position. Your role is a contribution and you believe it and feel it to be that. It emphasizes teamwork. It ensures egalitarianism. That's equality within the membership. And upward influence. So here's another thought. Just as a car made it possible to live far from their work, so email and related technologies let people live and work anywhere. It's tearing apart the organizational structures of the past century, where work was done around the water cooler or around the conference table. The Federal Department of Transportation estimates that as many as 15 million workers telecommute, a gain of 650% in a decade. So what is being benefited? When you think about it, when we are able to use something like Zoom in order to connect people all over the world in a meeting, then the corporation feels a benefit. If you go down the hall and all of the offices are empty and you can't really find a coworker to collaborate with, then you might feel that things are not as benefited with the telecommute as might be thought. How are we doing with moving forward? Think about it. Maybe it's just learning how to adapt. And so, speaking of adaptation, Charles Darwin suggests it's not the strongest of the species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change, most flexible, is the one that survives. And Price Pritchett suggests, when you think about it, people like you and me are personally in charge of progress at this point in history. We're the ones causing today's revolution in how work gets done. This is all about us. So what will you do to be responsive to the changes, and there are many, aren't there, in your organization? And that's what we're talking about with the human resources frame. So, for this week, we're going back to, let's go back to, these are the questions that we're going to do this week. What are the family values in your organization? What would you tell a new employee about how we do things around here? And you're going to begin working on your human resources paper. It will be due next week. All right, let's get started. Enjoy week 5.